if Aladdin came down and gave everybody three wishes, most of the world would be paralyzed with their decision making. And that's the problem. It's not the fact that they can't achieve what they want, they just don't know what they want.
If you like our show and want to learn more, please visit our website at peakwellnesshealth.com, which is linked in the show notes below, where you can gain access to a very simple 10-day body reset program that teaches you about diet, sleep, meditation, exercise, and guides you on how to lower blood sugar, lower blood pressure, lower body fat, and improve your biomarkers all in just 10 days. Additionally, you can find a body optimization program, which teaches you how to lose fat and build muscle. You can also find a link to schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. Have you had a dream to be better or achieve more, whether it be in a career, hobby, or your finances, but lack the motivation to make change? Or maybe you're just reluctantly content being where you are and fearful for what the future holds. Or maybe you just are scared to dream because you think you'll fail. Well, to give you a quick kick in the backside, we have Dr. Vikram Raya, a good friend of mine. He really needs no introduction. He's a cardiologist, high performance coach, a serial entrepreneur, CEO of our joint company, Viking Capital Investments, also CEO of Limitless MD and Vitology. Welcome, Vikram.
Hey, Ravi. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure having you. If you haven't listened to Vikram's last episode on creating habits, please do so because that was very powerful. We've got a lot of people watching that one. So Vikram, we're talking about motivation today. And really it's not about being pushed. It's about being pulled in the direction that you want to go to. So there's so many people that feel that they want to achieve something in life. They want to hit a goal that they've been thinking about for years, or maybe they want to have a career change and they just don't know where to start. They don't know how to get there. So maybe we can just start with this question. Where do you tell people to start? How's that process work for you?
If you're in your head, you're dead, Ravi. You got to get things out of your head and onto paper or on a digital platform, such as an iPad, a sort of a mind map of some sort, a whiteboard. And the thing is, if Aladdin came down and gave everybody three wishes, most of the world would be paralyzed with their decision making. And that's the problem. It's not the fact that they can't achieve what they want. They just don't know what they want. The lack of clarity in people's mindsets is astounding. And I think it's because we just go along with the status quo, the mediocre many. And so I think people get so amazed and mesmerized by the few doctors, the few practitioners, the few entrepreneurs that actually take bold decisions and go after it and move forward. And, they look at them and they're in awe, or they're like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. But they're bystanders watching these people make these moves. And so I encourage the people on the sidelines to stand up and dust off the chains of sort of the society and the status quo and decide what is it that they want in this one life we have, this short, precious life, and go for it. And so the number one thing I do when I work with my high performance coaching clients is get absolute clarity on the main categories of their life.
What you said is so powerful there, because the hardest part for many people is just understanding what they want. They don't really have a clear goal in mind. They just have this fuzzy idea of where they think they want to be. And something to keep in mind, and I know you've said this many times in the past, is it's good to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to not really know, because that means you're starting from somewhere, right? You have motivation to change, versus if you're content and relaxed in the situation you're in, then that is not a good place. And you know it's not the place you need to be, then that's not a good feeling to have. So be uncomfortable. Very important. You got to dream, you got to know your goals. So tell us more, Vikram. You said there's certain categories in life that you want people to focus on. What are those?
Yeah. But before I do that, I want to drop a knowledge bomb on your listeners. The knowledge bomb is this. I've come up with a ratio of discomfort to comfort ratio. And it basically, if you're part of the tribe of average, it's 1 day of discomfort and 3 days of, 1 day of discomfort and 3 days of comfort usually. but it's flipped for the people who are game changers, who are mavericks, who are rebels, and who are doing something different. They get 3 days of discomfort and 1 day of comfort. So it's a 1-3 versus 3-1. So how do you know you're in discomfort? Because you're scared. You're worried if you're not going to be able to even accomplish the goal. You're not in your. It's very difficult to do what the task that has to be done. You're unsure of it, even the success of it. It's not mundane. You have to utilize all your assets and resources and your intuition and knowledge to pull it off. And that's the thing is, the people who are making things happen, they lean into that. They enjoy that. It's like going down a ski hill. A lot of people like the greens and blues because it's comfortable for them. But if you go down the blacks, it's super scary. But the ones who are successful lean into the mountain and they actually ski down quite successfully. So back to your categories you're asking. I think there's 5 main categories everyone has in life. It's if you're in a relationship, it's that relationship. If you're a parent, it's the kids. It's your health. And you have 2 extra slots. Usually it's your current profession and it's your side hustle or side hobby or something, a passion project of some sort. And that's it. Those are your mighty 5. Anything else in that is noise and distraction, in my opinion.
Okay. So repeat those again for our listeners: relationship, health, profession, hobby.
Yeah. Right. It's for most people listening, you're a parent. And so your kids, grandkids, whatever. Number 2 is if you're in a committed relationship. It's that person, that your partner. Number 3 is your health, right? And then number 4 is your main job, how you're currently earning majority of your income. And then you have an extra slot. That 5th slot is usually your side hustle, a passion project, a sport, or something, or you're writing a book. You're launching a thought leadership platform, a charity, a nonprofit, something else that gives your life meaning. And really, this is your mighty 5. Everything else, I think, is a distraction or noise. And if you take care of these 5, you will thrive.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. So prior to this podcast, I created a 8-step methodology in achieving your goals and getting motivated to achieve your goals. The first step is feeling uncomfortable and knowing that you need to make a change. And it's easy, obviously, to feel uncomfortable because, we just, as you mentioned, it happens. But the interesting thing you mentioned was that if you really want to motivate yourself, feeling uncomfortable more often than feeling comfortable is key. And that's because it's easiest to go in the direction that we are wired to go into a direction that's easy for us to go to. So if we're constantly feeling uncomfortable, we want to go in an easy direction. If you're feeling more comfortable, you don't want, it's easy to stay where you are. So that's number 1. Number 2, dream, wonder, understand where you are currently, understand where you want to go, and just really know what you're all about. And then you mentioned these 5 different areas to focus on. So let's stick with number 2. Now, when you mentioned these categories, what should you do when how should you figure out where you are in each separate category?
So it really is sort of time horizons. There's a book called The One Thing that really talks about going from your someday goal or your life purpose goal to your 10-year, to your 5-year, to your 3-year, to your 1 year, to your 90-day, to your month, to your week, to your day, to your hour, right? That's how everything strings together. So what happens in this generous present moment really influences eventually your overall life span, your health span, your purpose. So a lot of times it's just getting clarity on those different levels and sectors. For many people, that's very challenging. So instead of going that far out and that depth and width, and then also going granular with the day-to-day, I would say choose at least a year of where you want to be by we're filming this in 2023. So by December 31st, 2023, what are sort of the top 5 goals I want to accomplish? And perhaps each of the 5 goals could correlate with some of your 5 main sort of core categories of your life. And that's a simple way to get started and go about it. And then, we've been taught the Pareto principle, but there's something called the extreme Pareto principle. So for those of you unfamiliar with that concept, it's really, 20% of your inputs lead to 80% of your outputs. right? But if you want to go extreme, you can say, hey, 1% of your inputs lead you to 99% of your output. So I'll say for many people who are not, in the self-development world, or they haven't really focused on their own mindset or development, just figure out the one major goal, juicy, delicious, mouth-watering goal that if you just did one thing, it would literally shift and create a different trajectory of your life once and for all. And so simplify, figure out that one thing, and then make your whole year about accomplishing that one thing.
Excellent. Give us an example of a client of yours or even yourself, like something that you thought of and you narrowed it down to this one thing and made a shift.
Like, for example, I have this thought process of taking my health from the way Peter Attia talks about it. And for the guys of you who are listening to the podcast, just you'll have to envision it. But the people who are seeing it, I try to draw it with my pen and describe it. But essentially, most people, what they live in their life is there's a line for their sort of their lifespan and health span. And what happens is it just precipitously over the years just slowly drops. And then it has like a nosedive in the last, I guess, 5 years of their life. And they experience a decade of decline or a half a decade of decline, and they're done. What he proposes, Peter Attia is a longevity doctor. He's at the forefront of regenerative medicine and anti-aging. He's talking about sort of prolonging your health span to where it's essentially stable and it's like a plateau all the way till the last, maybe month of your life. And then boom, it's just a drop off a cliff and then you die. You die peacefully, you're done. You just finished your length, your life on this earth is just done, but there's no decline. It ended very simply, very cleanly.
Yeah.
And so that inspires me. So I'm like, all right, if I want to take my health to that extreme level, right? How do I go to live 150 to 200 years of age? That's, if you ask better questions, you get better answers, right? Most people are like, how do I get through the week?
Yeah.
Or how do I get rid of my diabetes? Or how do I like lose my belly fat? You ask those kind of questions, you get mediocre answers. How do I live to 150 years of age? If you ask that question, you're immediately forced to harness different abilities and you get much more powerful answers. So now I've asked that question for myself, and now I'm, implementing different kind of trainings. I have weight training, I have flexibility training, I have martial arts training and core and flexibility training. Then layer on top of that, I know that having a healthy mind for the most of my life is very critical. So how do I do that? So deep into meditation. And I started with like just basic, like, sort of drive-through meditation, which is like, the Calm app perhaps, or it's like, what's it called? There's another one out there, Headspace. These are great. It's a good introduction. Then you move on to more of a nuanced, right? Things like the Muse headband. And then you're deciding to meditate truly, perhaps it's transcendental meditation, perhaps it's like things with Joe Dispenza. It's these kind of more advanced meditations where you're meditating for hours at a time. You're achieving some true breakthroughs. So that's meditation, it's training, then it's nutrition, which you teach, Ravi. It's that, how to get that peak health? Well, you got to put peak things into your body. And so you go from just not eating crap to eating, relatively healthy, to eating functional foods, to eating high performance foods, to eating really, then throwing in supplements and anti-aging, to throwing in peptides, and then, hormone optimization to, exosomes. So there's a whole gambit there. And so if I layer all these 5 things in, essentially, I'm going to try to achieve that goal of that elongated health and lifespan.
Are you struggling with reaching your health goals? Do you feel like you need extra help to achieve your desired level of wellness? Well, we're here to tell you that you're not alone. Our website at peakwellnesshealth.com, which is linked in the show notes below, offers a variety of resources to help you on your journey towards optimal health. One of the most popular resources is the 10-day body reset course, which is designed to teach you about diet, sleep, meditation, exercise, and how to lower your blood sugar, blood pressure, body fat, and improve your biomarkers all in just 10 days. Our program is comprehensive yet easy to follow, and we've seen amazing results for those who have completed it. But that's not all. We offer a body optimization course, which teaches you how to lose fat and build muscle. Our program is tailored towards your individual needs and goals so that you can be sure that you're getting the most effective guidance. And if you need even more personalized support, we offer one-on-one consultations. During these sessions, we'll work with you to create a personalized plan that takes into account your unique circumstances, preferences, and goals. Visit peakwellnesshealth.com today and take the first step towards achieving your health goals. The key point that you made, Vikram, is that you felt inspired. And that's number 3 on my list, is feeling inspired to make the right changes. And the way you felt inspired is you're asking the right questions. You asked the question, how can I live to 150? How can I live to 200 years of age? Which sounds maybe nuts to some people now. They're like, oh, wow, 100, 150, even 200. But it's interesting how the science of longevity in medicine is increasing at an exponential rate. So who knows what's going to happen in the future? Maybe that's a possibility, but you're grasping that possibility, you're holding on to it, and it's inspired you to make changes. So that's huge. I think for other people that don't have that inspiration, you can find it in other people that have been there before, in social groups and your friend circle. You can talk to others that have achieved those goals so you understand how they got to that place. Or if there isn't anyone like, your particular goal, you can look at teachers and mentors that, that understand how to get there and help you find that path.
There's the quickest way to accomplish a goal that one of your listeners may have is the 3I methodology. So as you're talking about, it's role playing, it's role modeling and things like that. So I usually, when I see someone who's doing something I want to do, I imitate them very closely. I figure out what they're doing and I hack it, and I understand exactly what they're doing. I learn from them. I adopt them, their policies and their strategies. Number 2, over time, I don't, it's not like get bored of it, but inevitably I feel like there's some slight tweaks I need to do to make it fit my own trajectory, my own goals. And so I iterate. And then finally, I've done it so often and I've done it in such a different way that eventually I make it my own, and I call it innovation, right? It's completely my thing. And then once I can do that, then I've sort of acquired that skill set. And I really think life is all about acquiring useful skill sets for the greater purpose of people and for yourself.
Now, what if people make up these excuses like, hey, I'm old, I'm already established, I have kids, I've got other things going on. How do they get beyond that?
So understanding identity, beliefs, thoughts, ideas that influence you, right? Those are all the things that influence us. And then they help drive our habits and our actions and who we end up becoming. So it's really identity first, right? Instead of trying to change habits and behaviors and procedures, you want to go inward. By you reassembling the DNA of your identity, that will outwardly propel different processes, protocols, thoughts, procedures, and eventually habits and actions, and then creates that new destiny. But identity change is the game. And so when anyone is successful in psychology or psychotherapy or even psychiatry or in any coaching or mindset, it's because they've been helping their clients shift their identity. The people who want to lose weight, who want to gain health and all that, it's transient destination. It's not, people give lip service to, oh, it's a lifestyle, but in their mind, it's not a lifestyle. It's what I need to do so I can look good in the wedding dress, so I can be okay for the summer. It's versus, hey, this is who I am. I'm an athlete. I'm a healthy human being. I'm an anti-aging person. I have elite fitness and vitality. That's not a lot of people's vocabulary for themselves. And so that transformational vocabulary and really embracing the identity and then reinforcing the identity and then even sharing the identity with others is very powerful. The other thing with identities is it's not either or, but it's and philosophy. So realizing that you can have multiple expansive identities that are all empowering. And a lot of physicians or lawyers or dentists, their job is their identity and that's it. But realize that there's so much more. Before you were a dentist, you were something else. And after you retire as a dentist, you'll be something else. So it's okay to have multiple identities. I mean, you, Ravi, as a podcast host, you are a father, you're a person who travels the world, you do nonprofits and charities, you're an elite real estate investor, you're a functional medicine doctor. So, I mean, the list goes on, but it's not like this or that or that. And you don't lose things like just because you don't practice in a hospital doesn't mean you're not a physician anymore. So it's really taking on these empowering identities, and it's this collection of identities and wearing these different avatars of yourself and really, pursuing that ideal life.
Absolutely. The next step, when we discussed this already, is choosing a path. It's important to understand where you are and where you want to go, but some people may not even know what it is they want. It's important just to move, just to try something different, to meet other people. And it's okay to change your goals every 6 months. And this was a realization for me when I heard this, a pretty significant realization, was that you don't have to have a life goal right away. And a lot of people think that like, look, I don't know what my career is. I'm uncomfortable with what I'm doing now, but I don't know what I want to do. So I'm not going to do anything. Or as far as their health goes, like I am overweight, I have diabetes, I have hypertension. It's so hard for me to get to this point. I'm just going to stay where I am. Think about 6-month goals. Like, hey, look, I want to lose 2 pounds in 6 months. I want to lose 5 pounds. Make it something doable. Just take action and go in that direction. That's so important. So that's choosing a path and making sure you have the right goals. So the next step is do your activity for a minimum of 2 minutes a day. Just take 2 minutes and, if you want to exercise, get in your exercise clothes, walk downstairs to, the car, and then maybe walk for 2 minutes, come right back. Don't do more than that, because what you're doing is you're getting in the habit of making this a reality for yourself. If you tell yourself that you're only going to take 2 minutes to do something, it's going to be easy. You're going to be able to do it. And then once you're in a habit, you're going to do more and more. I would say maybe for the first 3-4 days, don't even go beyond that. Just take it slowly. Now, there's also another technique called the Pomodoro technique. And Vic, can you tell us about that? Because that's another way to get some of these things done in an efficient way.
Yeah, Pomodoro technique is really just more of a time management technique. And it's like taking a task, for example, let's say you have to write a book. Well, there's no way you're going to write a book because it's just so overwhelming your mindset. So you just set aside, 25-minute blocks, twice a week. And you just chip away at this gargantuan task. And, and it's Pomodoro comes from the Italian tomato Pomodoro. And they used to have these tomatoes looking timers, and so they've adopted that languaging for basically a timed slug of activity directed toward a major task. So that's what it is. So I mean, for those of you guys who are really into wanting to optimize your week, I like to throw a resource out there for folks. If you go on Amazon or something like that, there's a book that I recommend a lot of my high performance coaching clients pick up. It's called a Productivity Planner, and incorporates some of the goal setting we've talked about, incorporates some of the best habits from books such as Atomic Habits and The Power of Change, and all of that into one simple weekly routine, which is essentially choosing your top 15 tasks for the week and documenting it throughout the week, and things using as Pomodoro and a Pareto principle and all these other strategies, and really going after your goals in a strategic way and using that journal to sort of hold you accountable.
Excellent. That's a great resource. I've used that before. It's very helpful. So just to summarize so far, Vic, we've talked about being uncomfortable, dreaming, understanding where you are currently, where you want to go, discovering your goals, getting inspired, choosing a path. And it's okay to shift every several months, but just choose some path that you want to follow and get moving. Start with 2 minutes a day, then moving forward and using that Pomodoro technique potentially just for 25 minutes a day, twice a week, maybe even. Just get moving. But that gets you in the process of going. Let me ask you this. If somebody is starting these things, but just doesn't feel inspired, just doesn't have the motivation to move forward, even after this, what else can they do?
I think you got to want it. And I'm gonna implement some David Goggins here. There are the people who really want to do something great in life, and there are people who are just interested in taking a ride. And I would suggest that most people have something powerful, inspiring within themselves, but they're not letting it come out. So you got to have a heart to heart with yourself. Are you tired of the way you're living? Are you tired of coming up short day after day? Are you tired of letting people down, including yourself? If you are, it's time to step up, my friends. Let's go. Like, you have something so powerful that the world needs. God doesn't make mistakes. The world doesn't make extra people. Everyone is here for something. Let's let that truth and that brilliance shine. And let's make things happen.
That's the kick in the ass I was talking about at the beginning. I would say, I would add to that, get a coach, buy a course, spend money. That's a great way to get motivated, is to put money down. I remember another situation when I was working in the hospital, and this happened multiple times, where patients just wouldn't comply with your recommendations, and they would stay in the hospital for long periods of time. And, there was some thought process that was going on with them, but they just didn't want to do what you tell them. And then I would tell patients, there's a chance that your insurance may not cover this bill because you are not accepting this therapy that can get you out of the hospital. And I can tell you, like 9 times out of 10, people were like, okay, I'll do it. I'm going to do it. That was the biggest motivator. So I would say that, spend money on things to get you to where you want to go, to help you get motivated, because that's just another form of energy. So the next thing, and the last part of this, is rewarding yourself for making progress. Vikram, how do you speak to that?
The reward has to be something really powerful. And a lot of times when we're starting our journey, we need extrinsic rewards, which is great. I don't mind that at the beginning. But as you go higher in the echelons of achievement, that's not enough. You need the intrinsic reward, which is really who you're becoming as a person, the impact you want to have, the legacy you want to leave, the example or a warning you want to be to your children. And so
Right.
A lot of that is there. But at the beginning, hey, I get to have a cheat meal. I get to buy myself a watch. I get to, look good in my outfit for the beach or for a wedding. And, all that's great. It's important. And I think, combine, and the other thing is habit stack, doing things you don't like with things you like. And so a lot of these things are really outlined in Atomic Habits, guys. It's a phenomenal book. Please pick it up and consider it. And then let me give you a hack. You go to every podcast, every interview, and everyone throws all these books at you. You're like, screw this. I don't have time to read all these things. And so here's what I do. If I really want to learn something very quickly and I don't really have the time, which is, an excuse for it's not a priority, but let's say I really don't have the time. So number one is I go on Blinkist, which is a summary app, and it literally summarizes every book that's mentionable, and it does an audio summary or it does a physical summary where you can read. Number two, on YouTube, you just type in any book you want, and literally someone's already done like a infographic version of the book in like 5 to 10 minutes. And so this is how you extract knowledge very quickly. But back to what I was saying, I think the book Atomic Habits is really good by James Clear, because he really goes through the science of habit formation and of why things happen. And when Ravi was talking about these micro wins, that's referring to a study from Stanford, which is talking about micro changes or small changes. It's similar to like downloading an app. It takes a long time to download an app, but once you have it downloaded, it's very easy to do. So for most habits, it takes about 66 days to about 75 days to download that habit. And then you hit what we call automaticity. So by you doing what Ravi is suggesting with those micro habits, you're building that muscle, the neurons that fire together, wire together, right? So Hebden's law. So when you do that and you reinforce that behavior, your brain is learning it, your body's learning it, muscle memory. And then finally, and you're feeling good because you're making momentum. And then finally it becomes a part of what you are. You don't need to think about it anymore, and it becomes automatic. And so I think that's really powerful.
Vic, that was amazing. Thank you so much for all this information that you've given our listeners. Really appreciate you being on and appreciate your time. If somebody wants to reach out to you and find out more about you, how would they do that?
Yeah, they can go to vikramraya.com. That's my main website, or thelimitlessmd.com.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And if you did, please make sure to hit the subscribe and the like button and leave a comment about what you'd like to see on our future episodes. Just a reminder that this podcast is for educational purposes only. It does not substitute for professional care, nor does it constitute medical or other professional advice or services. If you're looking for medical care, please seek a qualified doctor or medical professional. For more information, or if you'd like to check out our programs, please visit our website, peakwellnesshealth.com. That's peakwellnesshealth.com.